Welcome to Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. I am Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days. You came in there with a nice welcome to, I thought you were going to be like, at the back of a trailer, you open up your trailer and you're getting ready for a big puppet show and you're excited to tell all the kids.
What puppet show is in the back of a trailer?
Old school, like good old storytelling, just.
Okay. Like from a movie or something? Is that what we're talking about? Because I've never seen that in real life.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, of course not.
I don't know. Maybe you had. Episode 153, Forever Exiled. Here we are. Oh, put my phone on D&D. We're good. We're good. 153. Big shout out to patrons. Sinvala for joining this past week. Big shout out to everybody else who supports the podcast. You're awesome. Our Patreon gets you access to After Dark, which is the podcast after the podcast. It's more. Tyler just had a stroke. It's more of us just chatting, having a good time.
It's not my fault.
And you get a card and a sticker. Come on.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah, big shout out. You guys all rock. Thanks for supporting the podcast. And if you want to check it out, go look
Agreed.
at our Patreon. It's a fun time.
Also,
yeah.
Little side note. If you are a patron, please update your addresses. If you, for some reason, decided at the beginning you didn't want any, what are they? What do you call them?
Card.
How does it word it?
Card and physical stuff?
Yeah, just like if you didn't want any physical stuff as part of your Patreon, you could choose not to include your address. But just in case,
there might be something coming up. You just never know.
There might be a reason we need your address.
You just never know.
And so please, we're going to be doing this a little early.
Wasn't that exciting though?
Oh,
Can't
my
talk
goodness,
about it,
wasn't
but
it ever?
Exciting.
Update your addresses if you're a patron.
Yep.
And
thank you for supporting.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes.
How's your week, bud?
And
go ahead.
Well, regarding my stroke, Justin. So I have a couple disclaimers to get going.
Yeah.
So take a look. What's going to happen? Sorry, people. I'm just going to move a little to the left. Not much. It's like, bah! Got this blinding sunlight in my eye because of the blinds, right?
Yep.
So if all of a sudden I just in the middle of the podcast, that's just because the sun got me.
I was laughing at Christina.
Straight shot to my left eye.
Sometimes when we're recording, you just turn into a sheet of white. Like all I see is a little bit of the hair on your face. But otherwise, it's just a sheet of white. Like these lips move, but there's nothing happening. It's so weird.
really bad camera effects. No, but when the desk was in the different
location,
when it was facing the different way in the office when we first flooded and had to move things around, it was fine. Everything looked better. But now it's like you can't even see my forehead. It's just this bright light from angels of heaven. But now my wife wanted it in front of the desk and I don't win many arguments, or in front of the window, sorry. And our basement's like there's a window, but it's high up. And so all I get is sunlight in my eyes and my forehead.
You're an angel.
I almost complete. So
you're an angel.
Anyway, yeah.
How's your week?
Well, fine. I'm trying not to slouch. So I have my mic a lot higher than I like it. So I don't slouch. How was my week? I had a great week. Let me find out how my week was. Yeah. Well, no, I don't remember my week. Someone asked me what I did yesterday. Like, you drop the kids off of school. For example, school started, right? And so the kids are all in their new classes and going through all that. And so the parents like, oh, so how was your summer? How was your summer? And, you only want to answer that maybe 50 times at most, not 150, but whatever. You're nice and kind. And I forget why I'm talking about that. What was your thing?
I don't know, but I don't do that. I drop my kids off and walk away.
That's right.
Bye.
I'll see you after school if you
make
make
it. Actually sucks this year because with the youngest in kindergarten now, I have to wait till they go in. So I got to stand at the corner. Yeah,
that's right. Start smoking and no one will come to you.
I'll cheer her on from afar.
That's right. Yeah. But no, why? Anyway, school started. Don't remember why that was important to your question though. There was a good segue going in there.
Probably not, but you got it. Go ahead. How was your week? You were talking about not remembering.
Man,
that's why you have
really
notes.
Disappointing. I know, but there was something that you reminded me of that isn't in my notes. And then it was a good segue with school. Now it's gone. But anyway, no, school began. So that's kind of nice. And we order the supplies in so the school gets it and it's all nice and calm. And the kids have rooms that are really close together so I can drop them off at the same spot, which is really nice. And the kids are really excited. The kids got
side? The playground side?
No.
Oh, you're on the back?
No, we're on the trash bin side.
Okay.
Close to our place.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's really nice. And the kids got into classes with the friends that they really like for the most part. They were both split with some good friends, but they actually got to keep a couple good friends, which is quite nice. And
Sweet.
So they're still hanging on to last year's friendships, which is awesome. And so they're all, when recess starts, all the kids from the other classes are all waiting for their old friends from last year together, and they're all playing together. So it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to hear all the new stories and about the new teachers. And yeah, I have good kids, so it's it's just nice. It's not like you're terrified that they're already beating other kids up. But Justin, I know I already said this in After Dark, but the league has been saved. Nothing can dampen this league for me now.
Tell me why.
Well, I was walking through Home Depot. Sometimes you walk through Home Depot.
I know where we're going.
And you feel like a boss, right? You've done this project before. You know where these things are that you would never normally need, and you get them. You know exact size, the exact kind of thingy thing you need, and you feel like a boss. You're in, you're out, no problem. You go home, you do the project. Of course, I never do the project, right? But you went to Home Depot like a boss. But then you're doing that one project that you haven't done before, and you feel like you've never been to the store that you've been at 50 times, like the hardware store, and you don't even know where things are. So anyway, I was in that like insecure moment at Home Depot, and I'm like, where is this? Where do I find it? And then all of a sudden, one of the Home Depot employees comes up to me and says, "Hey, I like your hat." And now I have like 6 hats that I rotate through, but I look and I feel up and I'm like, oh, it's the circle. It's my Exalted Orb hat. And I totally panicked. Inside, I had no idea what to do, because I've been dying for somebody to recognize my Path of Exile swag. I wear it everywhere. Anytime I go out of our town, I'm wearing it, just in hopes that greater population traffic, one person will be like, I like the game too. And someone finally did it, Justin, at our Home Depot. And so I'm like all panicky inside. I don't know what to do. And I kind of turn around, and they're marching. They're on a mission. They're helping another customer, leading them to whatever aisle they're supposed to go to. And I look at them, and I probably have like the nerdiest, biggest, most desperate eyes in the world. And I'm like, you like the game too? And they're like, or what did I say? You play the game, or you like the game? And they're like, yep. And then they didn't say anything else. And I'm like, oh. And so I yell back like, I do too.
So good.
But obviously I do, because I'm wearing the hat. So anyway, yeah, I panicked. It's totally scared away my future best friend. So,
but it's happened
back
now.
to the lonely life. But there it is. Practice. I'll scare away another 50 people before I get it all figured out. Yeah, no, it was good. What else did I do this week? There was a lot of preparation. We're starting to get the work done now on our basement finally, which is nice. Yeah, it is good. It is good. It has taken a long time, but there was some legitimate interruptions that happened along the way, and needing to finance and figure out a lot more important things. So we're starting to get that work done on the flooded basement that we had in November. So that's nice. But along with that comes the new lawn, right? Because we had our front and backyard just completely dug up. And so they had, new dirt, new hydro seed, new everything sprayed. And so now it's time to make sure that's taken care of properly before the winter, and then back in the spring, and really get on top of it so that it's nice and healthy. So it's not just going to die out or get tons of weeds and then it just looks like garbage again. Like, I really want to make sure that it's not a wasted opportunity to have a completely new fresh lawn, because it would cost thousands to completely dig it up and get it done fresh again if for some reason it got back out of control. So, and I have neighbors that are relatively apathetic to their own yards, so it takes a lot of extra work and maintenance here to fend that off along with keeping it. So,
sure.
Well, it's a new lawn, right? So there's still a lot of spaces. Even though the roots are nice and deep, it's still not thick yet. So I really need to make sure that nothing from the neighbors gets in. So did some quote stuff to get some nice topsoil laid back out all over the place and see what that would cost. Maybe some aerating, because it's all awkwardly lumpy now. So I really want a nice thick layer of topsoil and aeration so that it gets to be nice and smooth. So I'm excited for that, because the rainy weather's going to come, Justin. I mean, what are we at? We're recording on September 9th today. And that permanent 50% chance to rain, typical fall that we have, is just around the corner, maybe a couple weeks away. So I want to make sure that it's all done properly.
Cool.
So yeah, no, good stuff. Good stuff. How about you? How was your week?
That was good. Super busy with work. Kids started school, except my youngest, because kindergarten rollout is a joke.
At our school, it's nuts. I was talking to one of the other parents.
It's so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like that in a number of areas in BC, but yeah, I feel like it's like we went for a 15-minute conversation with one of the kindergarten teachers, not the one we'll be getting. We don't know. And that was all this week. She went for 15 minutes this whole week. And then next week she'll go for 1 hour, then 1 hour, then 2 hours, then 2.5 hours, then 2.5 hours. So her first full day of school will not be until we're actually gone. When Christina and I have left for vacation, she'll finally have her first day of school the second day. It's so silly. So anyway, yeah, school started up. And what else did we do? Honestly, this week was just an absolute zoo, kind of like last week. But we watched the Lord of the what's the Rings one called?
Rings of
Power. Yeah, we just watched the third one last night.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that tonight with Aaron.
Yeah, so we both are actually really quite enjoying it. I wasn't really sure. Like, Christina did like the Lord of the Rings, but she wasn't super big into it like I was, so I wasn't sure. But she's actually really, really enjoying them too. They're just it's so big. I love shows like that, like where everything's just
massive,
large. Everything's just large. So yeah.
Did either of you read the books? Mm-mm. Lord of the Rings, no. Silmarillion, anything like that?
No. Is this all based off the books, like these ones too?
They spent, I think it was $250 million to buy the rights to his appendices.
Okay.
So it's not Lord of the Rings. It's not the Silmarillion. It's
extra stuff. Oh, that's cool.
All the stuff that's not published.
Oh, cool.
They got to go through.
Nice.
So I think it's hilarious when people are like, oh, it's not accurate. Oh, it's not, like, who would know?
Did you hear
You've never read that stuff?
Did you hear some of the criticisms?
Oh, it's all garbage.
The fact that people don't like that I don't know, like the half-foots or whatever they're called and the elves that aren't all white is the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever heard in my life. That a human being could be saying that. We both watched it, loved it. And then after I think maybe the first or second episode, I just happened to notice something online about it, and that it was a big thing that people were actually like negatively reviewing it because of that. And Christina and I are both like, no, that can't
that's
be
gotta
real.
be a
that
joke.
Can't
I know,
be real.
right?
And sure enough, there are, I mean, whatever. We've seen online comments, so I get it. There's stupid people out there, but it killed me. Anyway, we both really loved it.
You are liking the show? Like, it's not out to lunch or anything like that?
You can't be out to lunch because I'm watching it going,
some sci-fi stuff is boring, right? So I don't know what other people would think of this.
No, I'm really enjoying it. We watched the third one last night, and we just don't like when you can't binge something. So like when you end an episode and you got to wait a while. So but no, it was good. We've had some fun watching that, and I don't think I did anything else this week. Like, it was all work and very little play. I did play some PoE for a little bit, which was at least nice, but yeah, I was prepping, man. I got one more week of a bunch of hard work, and then I'm trying to not work after that. So
where are you going?
Vegas. Las Vegas. 5 or 6 days.
Wow, that's like 5 or 6 days too long. You and I like totally different escapisms.
Well, 5 days is actually a little bit long. Christina and I are going. Nathan's coming too. 5 days is a little long for Vegas, but
Nathan's going?
I know, right? Yeah, my brother's coming, so we'll see how that goes. Well, I don't know. We'll see if he actually hangs out. But 5 days is a bit long for Vegas. Like, we usually like to go maybe 3 or 4 days, but they were comping us rooms, and they gave us an even extra more comped if we came. So we were like, well, why don't we just fly out one day earlier and hang out? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I need a break from work. We've kind of had it. So, but it was good. It was a good week. Really busy.
Your usual Vegas buddies aren't going?
Yep. I don't know how many people are going. I think there's 6, because I think there were a few that weren't sure, but I don't actually know. I know we're going. Yeah. That's it.
You've never driven, right? You've always flown?
Ew. Yeah, always flying.
Of course. You drive to my house and it's 2 blocks away.
Yep, it's true. It's true. I wouldn't walk there. What are you, crazy? There's a hill. I don't have time for that. Yeah, no, it was a good week though. I'm looking forward to. We got actually a really busy week this coming week just for the podcast stuff too, because we want to make sure we've got our episodes all sorted. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun week. And now we can talk about Path of Exile
in a second.
Yeah. Do we have another?
I was just going to joke. Well, no, I was just going to bring up because of all the shows that are out now. my wife and I are joking that we're getting too much time together, and we got to tone it back a bit.
What do we do about this?
Well, we normally hang out on Wednesday nights, right? But She-Hulk, I was talking about, I forget if it was after dark or not, but She-Hulk comes out on Thursdays. So it's like, okay, well, we don't really want to wait until next Wednesday. Like, it's not a crazy show, but you still don't want spoilers. It's MCU stuff, so you never know. It's nice to be surprised in the moment. And then, of course, The Lord of the Rings, it comes out every Friday. And we're like, okay, well, that's a long time to wait till next Wednesday because of spoiler land, accidental articles you swipe across or through, and people with stupid clickbait titles. And, you know, even if it's like a fake spoiler, you know, just for the sake of clickbait, it still like puts that thought in your mind that you're thinking about the whole time, and it still ruins the show for you, kind of ruins the excitement. So now we still have our date night Wednesday night, but now we hang out for a bit on Thursday, and now we're hanging out for a bit on Fridays, and it's all
What's
right.
Friday?
All right. We're just married, okay? Let's take it back a bit.
What's Friday?
Friday's Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Comes out Fridays.
No, I just watched the third one. Unless the fourth one comes out Friday, I just watched the third one. We watched it last night. So unless I don't know if it's Fridays, because you would have seen all three then. Yeah. What was that? Is that a garbage truck?
Oh no, that's Big Brothers. They're here to pick up stuff. That's great.
Okay.
I love it when the best part about donating is when you don't even have to go there. You leave it out in a nicely marked bag and box. And
they just come and pick it up. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's the best. So then you just get this pile going for when your kids grow out of things.
Yeah.
Just get the pile going. And then the next time Big Brothers calls saying they're coming, in a week and a half. All righty. Love it. Absolutely love it.
That's cool. I think Christina takes our stuff to donate it. I don't know what she does.
Do you want me to wait till they're gone just in case?
Nah, it's fine. Are you all good? What are you looking at?
Oh, but anytime somebody comes on my property, I'm always, I hope I have a friendly face on because I just stare at them when they're on my property.
They probably can't even see you. You're just like a glaring light.
No, but the window's open. They can hear me.
Maybe.
Justin.
Hi.
I'm sexy boy.
All right. Well, let's start talking some PoE. I'm not putting any timers or markers in or whatever people ask for. It's not my thing. Not going to happen. Hit the fast forward button or enjoy hanging out with two buds. What do we got this week in PoE?
Little buds.
This week in PoE, we got some stuff.
I really like the div card story this week. It was about Doriani's Epiphany.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's how you spell epiphany. Yep. Oh yeah, look at that. I read lots of books too, and I never knew that. Anyway, Doriani's Epiphany is the one div card that gives you 3 regrading lenses, and I think that's the one that lets you re-roll the type of gem that you have or the quality of the gem. Right. And it was actually a really fun one. Like, I enjoy all of the stories for it, and not everybody that makes a div card has a story behind it. And so I kind of feel bad for people when they're like, I just wanted to make a div card, but this one was cool. It was, brothers grew up, and then, their lives kind of separated as life moved on and grew up. But then this game, as they started playing PoE, kind of brought them back together to hanging out a lot more and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. And then it kind of described about the difference between what they actually wanted the div card to be. And of course there's rules on it, so things can't be completely overpowered and all that kind of stuff. But so one of their, not their favorite option that they wanted the div card to be, but one of their, how can I word it? I should read this part at the bottom here. So there's a part where they actually really liked Heist, and they quoted in there the person that made this div card, and it's like, don't tell anyone, but I even love the version of Heist where killing monsters increased the alert level. Oh,
like the first 2 weeks of Heist.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so I love that they would joke about that, putting that in brackets. That's my kind of humor. And so they said that they know that a lot of people don't like Heist. Not a lot of people, but there's a fair amount of people that don't like Heist, but having the alternate quality gems is really cool. So that's something that they wanted to share with the community, give them an opportunity to see it outside of Heist. So cool. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. So there it is. Doriani's. But so I like that story a lot. Brothers coming together. Aw.
Cute.
Yeah. What else do we have? Sorcerer Wand MTX.
That looked like the most painful sentence you've ever tried to put together.
My brain completely turned off. The words were right there. Justin cuts out gaps, but there was about a 15-second gap there where I was staring at this note that says new microtransactions, Sorcerer Wand.
Yeah.
And my brain I was
debating helping, but I thought maybe you were going somewhere else.
No, get out of here. But yeah, no, there was that, and then the concept art for the
Lake of
Kalandra, which really cool. I really like that stuff. I like seeing all the work people do in the background. It's cool seeing the Doberman there with the backpack again, and that was pretty neat. I think the Adobe was the only thing that I really liked in that secondary pack that really resonated with me. I liked a lot of the stuff in the pack that I ended up getting gifted, which thank you very much. But the Adobe is pretty cool. Did you see there's a community showcase? Did you see
scroll through it.
Did you see Cassia? I mean, they're all fantastic.
Yeah,
did you see Cassia?
Really cool.
How do people, it's amazing, by the way, the Cassia cosplay, how do people like actually make this stuff? Like, I get people that know how to sew and quilt, and they have all these skills that they can apply to making some really interesting cloth material, but for the people that actually make more of the like hardware
armor and masks and stuff.
Armor, swords. She has tubes and like a glowy pus in the middle of her chest, and
I think it's
I'm just
mostly
always
magic.
impressed with that. And to love it about a character that's like, it's not one of the most epic characters, but to go through all that effort that probably takes them months, and for like a side character. Granted, I think she's one of the most hilarious characters.
Yeah, her little singing.
I love.
It's really funny.
I love how
you're like interrupting her.
It's you. That's right. And just how derogatory she is to people that don't believe the same thing as her. Oh, I think it's hilarious. So anyway, awesome job to all of those. Patch came out. The 0.1.
Hold on, let's talk about the patch after. Finish your rest of your stuff, because I want to talk about the patch.
Okay.
So talk about whatever your other stuff is first. So there's like a
let's see what else
skin sale or something, or wings. Wings, I think.
But so there's there was wings and back attachment one, and then there was also a skill effect sale as well. But normally that's not something there's not much to talk about. But when did this change? How old is my information? They said if you'd like to free up some of your mana pool from aura reservations, perhaps consider letting these spell totems, cast the auras for you.
Okay. I
thought if you had an aura on a spell totem, it still used up your mana. I thought that was the change they did, because everybody, I remember this way, like we're talking like in the early ones, maybe the early, or not the late ones or early twos, people would do multiple totems, right? And then they would have a totem for different auras, and then they could have auras on themselves as well. And so at some point there was a change where a spell totem still used up your mana reservation. So spell totems were used for more spells as opposed to
Did
auras.
It used to use up your reservation?
That's what I thought it currently was at. I thought like for the longest time that a spell totem would have an increased mana reservation and it would actually count towards you or something. Like how I forget how it worked, but I thought that it just didn't make sense to do it on a totem anymore. So when I saw that, I was like, when did that change?
I honestly have no idea. I didn't know that it used to use up some of your mana reservation. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when's the last time you saw a build anywhere doing that? I assume if that was the case,
it's not even been something that's crossed my mind.
It used to be a thing like all the time in the twos, like 2 point whatever. So I don't know, but when's the last time you looked at PoE Ninja? You were looking at Sooth, some of the ways people are playing the skill that you're interested in, and they had a aura to a totem.
Never. I literally never even had that thought.
So anyway, I thought it was something you couldn't do, but then they said that, and I'm like, okay, how is this a change that we didn't catch? Like, what's going on? So hopefully it's like old news, and if that's like just
forever.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's just one of those like things where the game can change so much and you think you're on top of things. And so if this is something that hasn't been a thing for a while, I'm going to be like, oh my goodness. So anyway, because think about that with Righteous Fire, the amount of goodies you could have there. You could throw,
but you got to just constantly be putting it down. So it's almost the same.
Doing something else anyway.
Yeah.
Just that power of that extra aura that you don't have to, so you can be that much stronger either offensively or defensively with your own auras. It makes up for whatever skill you'd be casting instead for the most part.
Maybe boss wise it might be beneficial. I'm not sure for like mapping, but bossing might be something you could use it for.
I'd love to have Arctic armor on my Righteous Fire character, but I don't have the mana space. So instead I could put something like determination on the totem, and then I'd have plenty of space for Arctic armor.
Yeah, you would have to be constantly placing it, or just like I said, using it for
Easy
bosses.
Just
not
easy.
Really.
Yeah. So anyway, 0.1 patch came out, and I love the joke of what makes this the 0.1
Yeah,
patch.
we've always joked
compared to what was the last one, G? Why isn't this H?
Something
what
like
makes this 0.1? So
yeah, to be honest, nothing in this makes it 0.1 in my opinion.
Really?
No, I was not actually very impressed with this patch.
Like, you think the changes suck, or the changes you wanted to happen didn't happen?
I think some of the changes were reasonable, but I don't think so. Lake of Kalandra, they made some changes. It's just such a disappointing mechanic. There's just so little reward for doing it, and it really is unfortunate. And increasing reflecting mists, okay, fine, but that's just, you're just giving me more garbage. You know what's weird? I was thinking about it with regards to the stuff from reflecting mist. That stuff should be rolling with all 6 affixes. It should not be rolling with 4, like 1 prefix and 3 suffixes or something.
You don't think people want to add on to them?
It's just your chances are so low already. I just think it's because I don't think you can craft onto them. You can't put it in the crafting box because it's a mirrored item. Maybe you can slam it with an Exalt. I'm not actually sure. I don't know. Maybe you can craft them. I just assume because it's mirrored, you couldn't craft anything. So I don't know. They're not good. They're really not good. The rewards are not good. They made the openings a little bit wider, which is at least decent for some of the areas to go into, but it's just I saw a tweet from Grimro which made me laugh, and he said, what if they made it twice as rewarding and half as difficult? Which I think that's a good idea. Like, just make it something that you want to do. There's very little reward for going into them, and you spend time building them up and trying to increase the difficulty. Like, I do actually like the process of building the tablet, the actual Lake of Kalandra. I do enjoy that, planning out where I want stuff to go and trying to make it as far as I can. But then you run them and you're like, well, I mean, I got some XP, which is kind of nice, but otherwise I walked out of there with not much stuff. So yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, but and other than that, but the only other thing I liked in there was one fix, which was Einhar's memory, because I did Einhar's memory. I've had 2 memories now so far, Atlas memories. Also, have to say again, it was the exact same text no matter which map I did. There was no progression to the memory, which I was like, this is so, it doesn't make any sense. So it was Einhar's memory where you're doing the Sacred Grove. So it was a bunch of Sacred Groves in the maps that I ran, which gave me insane amounts of harvest juice, like the life force. It like crazy amount of juice. It was so much harvest juice. But yeah, it did. There was no progression to his story as I went through the maps, which was super disappointing. And that issue that they fixed actually did happen to me. In my very first grove that I went into, one of the unique bosses got stuck in the wall, and I couldn't kill him. So I had to just leave, which was too bad. Thankfully, it doesn't screw up the process or like stop you from progressing through the maps. But
yeah, but that was fixed in this patch, though, right?
That was in this
the wall stuck one.
Okay, that was one of the things that I noticed in their bug fixes. But yeah, I don't know. It seemed like a kind of bleh for a 0.1. Okay. I was hoping maybe for a little bit more. I don't know.
Overhaul.
Yeah, like I've actually found
overhaul maybe.
Arch
Not
Nemesis
Heist now, but like how they overhauled Heist.
I do want to see some changes to Kalandra. I still find it's pretty boring. Arch Nemesis has been decent when I played this week. Like, I didn't find it awful. I think Arch Nemesis, it's still not great, but it's better than it was. The Beyond stuff, I've avoided Beyond like the plague since the very beginning, so I'd have to try it again because it was awful at the beginning of 3.19 to do Beyond in a lake. So yeah, I don't know. What did you think of it? I know they made some minion stuff, right? Like take less damage.
Yeah, they did. They did. Definitely not enough, but I appreciate the attention to it nonetheless. Actually, I was thinking about while you were speaking. I think something that they would be really good for Kalandra is, or one thing that disappoints me and makes it a lot less exciting is when it's a layout of like that Kalandra tile. or do they call them tiles or maps, or what do they call them? So, or are the tiles the squares?
Yeah.
So I'm talking the whole thing.
Okay.
Is that a Kalandra map?
The lake.
Okay, so whatever. Yeah, so like the entire layout of all the tiles, I find that I'm not impressed with the original layout that I'm given. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of overlap. I'm going to have to change direction, or I'm going to have to go like pay attention to the map a lot. I'd like to make it, just one big linear thing. So
Which you can, yeah. Sometimes.
Well, right. And I wish that the ability to move a blank tile was always there. So maybe have a fourth option on the side and it was always there, and it would still count as, one, as your choice of one, or out of your two choices that you'll have, But I wish you were easily able to manipulate the layout of your Kalandra map.
The problem is that you have to progress further into the maps to do it. Like eventually you get the ability to do 3 rerolls, 3 skips, and 3 don't show this ones. So you have 9 attempts per lake to change stuff around, but you have to progress the lakes and do progressively more difficult stuff in higher difficulty zones to be able to do it. But you're right. Sometimes there is a lake where it's completely botched. I just can't make it.
Well, for me, it's almost all the time. I think I've had maybe 2 layouts where I'm like, oh, sweet, I can do this one and not have to check the map every 30 seconds to make sure I'm still in the same square. I'm in the next square. And so but that's just a side note. I don't expect them to ever change that. But yeah, for me, this patch had some good changes, but a couple of them are kind of like, this is kind of stuff that I would have expected to that would have been fixed before launch. You know what I mean? I know they're always short on time, but that's always been one of my criticisms. But for example, like the rock formation one, good fix, right? Where, enemy projectiles and our projectiles now interact in the same way with rock formations, right? They block. That's something that in my mind should never, ever get launched. Like that's just a complete, that's a big bug that does screw over. It's very inconsistent with how normal mapping works. And you should expect the exact same thing, right? If something that's in the way is in the way. But that's nice that it's actually fixed. I did like widening the bridges because there's some times where I'm completely funneled in and I'm a zombie player. I'm first, unless I'm using predator support and applying signal prey. I'm first. I'm taking the damage. I'm going in with my quartz flask, and then my zombies follow me. And sometimes I would just, there's like the ice thing that traps you, except you can phase through it. But there's some circumstances where for some reason it's tricky, or you're out of your phase flask and you can't get through. And so all of a sudden there's this bridge. So this allows, especially with something like my zombie build, because zombies do care about proximity. So if I'm on a bridge, only 3 zombies out of my 9 are actually hitting whatever's there. So it does allow. So that was nice. That was a good change for me. Heralding Minion Arch Nemesis modifier can no longer be found in Delve monsters.
Yep. It's a stupid Arch Nemesis modifier anyway.
To begin with, it should be completely gone, in my opinion. It's so hard to see unless it's a one-on-one battle. Honestly, there's a lot more mods that actually need to disappear from Delve. I was putting a lot of attention into Delve this week, and there are quite a few Arch Nemesis modifiers that just don't make sense for the small proximity that you're in. Not just the tunnels as you're getting through, but the actual small locations that you're fighting. And not all locations that you get to when you're, what's that thing called? The crawler?
Yeah.
Not all locations that it eventually settles in are small, but quite a few of them are.
Quite often they are, yeah.
And the enemies don't care about that when those random modifiers are rolled on them. And there's a lot of unfun circumstances, especially the ones where it's like the explode on death stuff, where they leave the fire circle or the lightning circle or the cold circle on the ground. It's like all you're doing is running away from it the whole time. And I mean, especially if you're doing something like a Harbinger, where it's 1,000 enemies on the screen, you can't see anything. It's a total zone out fest. So anyway, I'm glad they fixed the heralding minions one for Delve. I think there's a lot more for Delve specifically that needs to be removed, but at the same time, that kind of goes into my personal feeling that I share with you, of course, of there's just some Arch Nemesis mods that just need to go away for the sake of the fun of the game. Rare monsters spawned during boss fights are now limited to 2 Arch Nemesis modifiers. That's a really good one. That's a really good change.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably a better necessary one. There was a thing I think Tarky was doing that he did a video for, which was kind of clever, of just constantly running Belfry to farm the rares that would spawn with Katava, because that's where the loot was. So you were farming those guys for loot. Not the way you want to play Path of Exile, but yeah. The problem I find with Arch Nemesis stuff, and this one kind of fits into it too, is when you eventually get to a certain point in the game, the Arch Nemesis modifiers start to become negligible. They don't matter as much as your power starts to increase. The problem is your process to get to that point is tedious and not fun. So I don't actually know what the solution is, but like maxing them out at 2 modifiers when you're a pretty, like set up character in the end game doesn't matter as much as it does as when you're first starting maps and trying to actually like grind up your gear and your levels. So it is a good change though, for especially when you're leveling up and it's just starting out in maps.
Well, I like the solo self-found aspect. So to me, I'm never completely decked out, and I'm always with basic gear that's pretty good. It's like, wow, I can't believe I found this, and it has 100 life and 230 resists, right? Like that's pretty fantastic for me. And if it has an extra slot, like an extra suffix, so I can craft on some, I don't know, lightning and chaos resistance, to me that's a perfect item. That's a perfect chess piece as long as it has the sockets and links. So when I'm in boss fights, they're lasting longer. I'm not melting things, and this is definitely helpful because, again, a lot of the Arch Nemesis modifiers, I'm not focusing on them. I'm focusing on the boss. The boss is busy enough as it is, right?
Yeah, the problem is when they tie the loot into the Arch Nemesis modifier, then all of a sudden you are focused. You want more of them because it's a weird, they've created this really awful system of trying to find Arch Nemesis modifiers for loot. So yeah, it is good though, like I said, for when you're leveling, and certainly not like fully end game crushing. But it's kind of weird because you do eventually get to a point where it's like, I don't actually need to pay attention to the modifiers.
This next point, I
feel like you might know if this is the rare monster one not dropping loot. I was like, what? Get the heck out of here. What rare monster doesn't drop loot?
I don't like swearing, but I have a WTF next to this one. All rare monsters. Hang on, let me read it. It says
rare monsters that do not drop loot are now limited to 2 Arch Nemesis modifiers. And I was like, why are they rare? What the heck?
Is this a predetermined thing that like when it rolls, it's rolled like, no, you're not actually going to drop any loot?
I don't know what rare monsters don't drop loot. I actually don't know. Why would there be a rare monster that doesn't purposefully drop loot? Besides in Delve, like as you're going through Delve, because it's all supposed to drop at the end, but that still drops at the end. Right. So what rare monster doesn't drop loot?
Maybe that,
how about we just remove the rare monster?
You know what? Amen. No, but you know what? You bring up a good point, because here I'm thinking like, okay, this game's all about being random, right? And I've given them a hard time before about not having enough control over their random, right? To me, if they had more rules about their random, the game would be a lot more fun. So to me, when I'm thinking, when I read this, a rare monster is going to randomly roll only 2 modifiers. To me, then it might not drop loot. To me, that's kind of the order of how it goes. But then when they wrote this, I was kind of like, wait. You mean you can choose before it's randomly rolled its modifiers if it's going to drop loot or not? But then so that's kind of where my brain stopped. Those were the only 2 options I could consider. But then you come up with this where it's like, okay, well, now maybe this is in conjunction with, those Arch Nemesis bosses, or like how Tarky, you said, was doing Belfry. So maybe now there's a chance that you can't farm those 2 rares. Well,
you can. They just only have 2 modifiers.
Right. And now maybe they might not drop loot. So maybe there's not much of a point of farming. So, but you bring up, but that's a good point. Like maybe there's circumstances where, because they're intentionally only rolling 2 modifiers, they're a lot less likely to be rewarding for you.
There should never be a rare monster in the game that purposefully does not drop loot. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Turn it into a normal monster. Like, I don't understand. I don't get why you would make one. There's there's probably some situation. I just don't know what it is.
Isn't a rare monster with 2 modifiers a magic monster on steroids? Why not just make him a magic crew?
What happens if a rare monster rolls with the 2 Arch Nemesis modifiers that are all like focused around currency? Does that mean you just you killed it for fun and you get nothing out of it. I don't understand.
Well,
There's got to be some situation.
I don't think it means rare monsters with 2
no
modifiers can't drop loot
now. Well, but they're saying that a rare monster that does not drop loot can still roll with 2 arch nemesis modifiers.
Or only rolls 2 modifiers.
2. But you've told us that loot now is tied a lot to the arch nemesis modifier, so I don't understand the situation where a rare monster is spawning that does not drop loot. Doesn't make sense.
I have questions.
Yeah.
I have questions.
I feel like there's got to be somewhere in the game where that
decided
happens.
that it's not going to drop loot?
And also delete that line because that's stupid. Everything should drop loot. It's a loot-based game. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, man. Speaking of, though, here's the complete opposite. I was spending a lot of time in Delve. We'll get to this later. There's a glitch on console where it 99% of the time when you load the game, it loads the default filter, not the custom filter that you're always playing with. And I always, doesn't matter how long this glitch has been in there, and it's been in there for forever, GGG, please fix it. But I'll start my map, and all of a sudden I'll start seeing all these small white items on the ground, and I'm like, oh, right, I forgot. But, I'm not, it's on the default filter, forgot to change it before I started my first map. I had to go through. So I was doing Delve.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness. You can't see anything. And which is the worst now because of all the arch nemesis modifiers that exist. There's so many after death things that happen, but because of this default filter that's on my screen, I can't see the items because there's too many items to see the items, but I can't see the after death effects because there's too many items.
Is this that the default filter auto loads and you have to go in and manually change it?
Every single
time. And is it difficult to, I guess it's difficult in Delve to change once you start moving.
Yes, for sure. And then right. So in mapping, it's not a big deal, but it's an annoying bug. I mean, I made my default filter for a reason. There's a reason that I made my custom filter for a reason. There's a reason that I use it. So it's not a big bug, but it is really annoying. And as I've always said, it is very unfortunate that their default filter is very bad marketing. Yep. It is. It makes it look so bad. So
Except
bad.
Unless you're looking at it and going like, ooh, look at all those items you could pick from. Maybe you don't know.
Sure. If you have 1,000 alterations in chaos, maybe. So next, that was just a side thing. The aura from the Executioner Arch Nemesis modifier. Because obviously the Executioner Arch Nemesis modifier has an aura, and verdant spores inflicted by the Healing Nova from the Rejuvenation. Wow, that's triple layered. So the Rejuvenating Arch Nemesis modifier has a Healing Nova that has verdant spores.
Obviously,
those two things no longer affect player minions.
Cool.
So I have a couple circumstances from some recent play sessions where I got back to my hideout with no army, like absolutely none. And it's been since this patch has come out. I'm gonna do my best to see if I even knew that the rare monster existed, but I think I have a list of a couple more that I think also need to not affect minions because it's been difficult, but that's cool. I don't know what those two things, the aura from the Execution Arch Nemesis and then the verdant spores from the Healing Nova from the Rejuvenation Arch Nemesis modifier, that really makes me laugh, by the way. That's awesome. It's nice. I hope that they're kind of paying attention as this goes on and they start seeing how minion gameplay kind of moves along from this. I hope that they have other Arch Nemesis ones also red flagged. I know they're in a really hard spot because they're really trying to make this work, but minions, of course, have been almost, depending on your minion skill and how you're babysitting it, really got like thrown under the bus for this league. But I don't like those hidden things. Like, remember at the beginning of the league, we were talking about how there was like this hidden modifier on minions for their ability to poison, or that hidden interaction with how power, frenzy, and endurance charges worked with minions instead of us. Like, I like that consistency. So to me, if it's something that completely obliterates minions, but it doesn't obliterate, like, just get rid of it. Like, there's 80. The game's going to be fine with 79 Arch Nemesis modifiers. Like, I like that consistency where if the game's working the way it's supposed to, and my idea of what they're intending is that, oh shoot, this guy, this enemy has this modifier, run away, or gotta be really careful, or watch out for this. It's weird that I would run away and be scared of it, but my minion's like, hey, forget about it. Hey, forget it. It's a fugazi. It'll be fine. Where, you know what I mean? Like, I like the consistency between it, where it's either my character's fine with it or it's not, and that includes my army. So I'm just take it out. That's my thing. What else did they do? Lower the damage dealt to minions by league monsters, which I didn't actually quite notice because I'm barely playing it. And endgame map bosses that felt punishing. For example, the Shaper Beam, Slam Skills, Toll, Creeping, Avalanches, a bunch of different stuff, Cyrus stuff. And then they said, amongst many, many others. So awesome. That one's really cool. I haven't gotten to any of those yet, so that's great. I'm glad to hear that if I eventually get there, or maybe do that on standard, it's been thought of, it's been tweaked, and I appreciate that. That's specifically to minions, damage dealt to minions, not the skills tweaked against characters, but just to minions. And I think the last thing, I mean, there were a lot of really good changes. So, I mean, it's a process. You can't change the whole game all at once. So I appreciate all the changes they did. And this is a lot of very big changes, in my opinion. They also lowered the number of rare and magic monsters spawned during harvest encounters.
Harvest boss encounters, yeah.
Harvest boss encounters, yes. There's still a lot of circumstances where I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, I swear there's like 5 rares on the screen right now. Without the duplicating mod that they have, some of them like copy themselves for a few seconds. So there's still a lot of circumstances where I feel like there's too much because I have no idea what's going on or who I'm supposed to focus on to get rid of that ice ring or whatever. I think now it is a mod that I hate, but it is very good at helping me determine who I need to kill to get rid of it. And that's, there's like that weird mana aura.
Mana siphoner, the blue one?
It might be. I never get to read it, but
it's blue.
The game's too busy. There's like this big, see, whether I like the skill or not, that's a huge tell for me that, okay, this is something, I know where that is because there's this big aura around it that I can tell. And I really like that. I remember hating it. And I don't even remember what the skill does. I'm not in
drains your mana and then your life.
So I do my best to signal pray that. And GG, I know that this might, I guess, has been more whiny this episode, but I am absolutely loving their controller support with signal prey. It is so smart. Like one of my criticisms to what I'm going to get into about Delve, how it's just absolutely chaos. I can't see freaking anything in a Harbinger fight. It's just enemies. I don't have space. My minions don't have space. There's so many enemies. But when I hit signal prey into this massive group of enemies, it's hitting a rare. Like it's going, it prioritizes really well. There'll be 50 white normal enemies in front, and I'll hit it and it'll skip right past them most of the time and it'll go to a rare. And it makes, I mean, signal prey is 1 out of a billion skills, but I absolutely love it. So thank you, GGG, for putting some really good thought into your smart controller, smart totem, smart placement system, because I think it's really cool. So yeah. And then my last note was the thing. If you, what we've already talked about, if you'd like to free up some of your mana pool from aura reservations, perhaps considering letting spell totems cast the aura for you. I got to look that up. Yeah.
There were a bunch of fixes as well, but it's good.
All good ones.
Yeah, they're all fine. I'm hoping to see maybe 0.2 will be exciting. 19.2. This just was like, okay, cool. It's fine. It's all right. But this could have been H or G or L.
That's going to be one of my questions. Anytime, like I'd love to have more GGG employees on here and talk to them about them, not the game. Mm-hmm. But whenever we have one of them on and we're talking about the game and not them, that's probably my most burning question. Yeah, what makes something the 0.1 or the 0.2 instead of the point letter?
Mm-hmm.
I must know.
Yeah. There's got to be a science to it. Like what's the formula you guys are using?
That's right. Are you looking for something that's maybe...
Does it have to reach a certain amount of lines? And then we have to do it as a 0.1?
That's right. Or is it based on like your expected Reddit anger level? Is it... I don't know. I think anyway, yeah. So big patch, good patch.
Yep.
Played lots with it last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice. Did you play? Go ahead.
Oh, look at us Canadians. Say no, you go. No, you go. No, I love you more. No, I love you more.
What were you? Oh, so you played this week?
I did. You did too.
I did. Yep. I didn't play probably as much as you got to. I wanted to play around with my Atlas passive planning, so I messed around with that a little bit. I did go for a little bit and played with rogues and rogue exiles and the torment.
Oh, you did? Okay, I have questions.
Yeah. So I did do it, and I actually did that earlier in the week, and I do remember actually laughing to myself going, Tyler's dead. Tyler is dead.
I
am. If he goes torment and rogue, it was a lot of fun. It was super fun, not worthwhile at all. Like I mean, I had a good time doing it, but it was not, there was no like, I didn't feel rewarded. It just, I felt the challenge.
This game's not about rewards, Justin. It's not about rewards. It's about getting spanked or spanking.
Well, it was, I mean, I didn't get spanked, but it was very hard, and my character is very strong.
Oh, I got mutilated.
Like, yeah, I could see it. I could see it. So I did pull out of that a little bit. I'm still using it a bit.
Can I ask you some questions about that? Well, you'll remember what you moved on into. So how did you, like, you're obviously juicing your maps as you have.
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Alkin going because I'm using the thing that doesn't let you use scarabs or whatever. I don't want to deal with all that extra stuff. I'm collecting them. Maybe I'll use them eventually. I don't need to sell them because I got lots of currency. But no, I'm just alking. I'm chiseling and alking and running tier 16s. And I've been using Fortune Favors the Brave a little bit.
So when you're getting these 60 to 100 quality maps and you have completely invested in rogues and torment, some of them are obviously pretty nuts, and I'm sure you ran into a few bodyguards as well. Those are the even harder rogue exiles that are in a boss fight.
Yep. I'm doing race course, so
awesome. I tried to do race course and didn't make it. But so how are you, like, some of them are tough. Are some of their damage scary? Are you mutilating them too quickly? Like, how are you going about some of these fights? Because for me, I'm with my mediocre equipment. I'm still, well, no, not true. I'm doing this in standard, right? I'm doing my bone zombie build, but it's a completely solid build. Everything's like beefed up, right? I haven't need to invest in it. It's been set up for quite a few leagues, and I still even have the old Gravicius mod on my chest piece that's giving me more energy shield than I should. I haven't bothered changing it yet, and I'm going in and I roll a map, and now I'm trying to invest, right? Like, I'm trying to complete, when I do the standard thing where you use a legacy map, Alkit, Valet, and it's a T16, and then you run it, it'll unlock all the T15s and down with all the bonuses, so that when you convert your maps, you don't have to go through 125 maps or whatever it is. 113? I don't know. Anyway, but it doesn't do the T16. So I'm doing the T16s again, and I have to, Alk and Val them. But my Atlas tree is already done, and I'm like, oh man, okay, this is gonna suck. And so obviously some of the rolls are pretty aggressive, and there's some times where I don't even see the rogue exile and I'm dead, and all of a sudden it's like jump, it's doing that crazy fast jump, and but yeah, I mean, I have my reset at checkpoint already up on the screen, so some of them have just been absolutely insane, but with a character that has been in previous leagues, pre-319, able to take on any content. So how did you, tell me as much as you can about it.
So because I'm playing Lightning Strike with a very big focus on leech and life on hit, that's my saving grace for almost all of my content. Some of them are insanely fast and do damage very, very quickly. And the only reason I can get through it is because I'm attacking as fast as I am and leeching and getting all that life back instantly. So, but there were actually some rogue exiles where I had to just sit there and lightning strike until I got my Val lightning strike up to actually kill them, because they were just taking forever to die. I don't know. I don't pay attention to modifiers like the arch nemesis modifiers. That the game sucks.
They don't
for
have
that.
them.
It's not good. Well, but what?
They don't have them. They have their own unique set of modifier, like Rogue's Grip.
Well, whatever it is, I don't know what any of that stuff is, because I find it too dumb to try and look at it. But yeah, so quite often when you get one where there's like 20 in there and they're all possessed, and I remember in one of the ones I ran more recently, I remember running up race course towards one corner and there were like 6 of them in that one spot. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was just mayhem because they move insanely fast. I'm seeing like the craziest projectiles that I've not seen since like, I don't even know where they're coming from. So
I guess race course would be bad for that too, because there's a couple of them that have a ricochet shot that just bounces everywhere.
Yeah. So it was difficult. It was fun to at least try it out, and I just didn't feel like it was rewarding enough to do it. But yeah, I do remember having the thought very early on, like, oh my God, this is going to just destroy Tyler, because I'm barely holding on to not dying to. I don't think I ever actually died to any of the Rogue Exiles, but they were tough, way harder than bosses, way harder.
Right.
Possessed bosses, cake, no problem. But you put 6 Rogue Exiles, it's like, this is going to take a little bit.
Yeah, well, even for me, just when 2 of them are combined, when they are completely juiced up. So I got a question for you. Do you think it's too juiced? Like, do you think when you fully invest into Rogues...
No, I don't think so.
And you fully invest into Torment, do you think it should be that absurd?
It should be hard for sure. I don't think that hard. I think maybe it's a little bit overtuned. I think the bigger problem, though, is what am I getting out of it? And if I want to juice it all up and have some fun and put myself through that difficulty, there needs to be some feeling of I got something out of it. And I didn't ever feel like I was getting great drops from them. But I think if you choose to set your Atlas passive up a certain way, then you kind of, it's your choice. So you've kind of picked how difficult you want to make it. But I think possessed stuff right now is a little bit overtuned anyway. Like, I think if you took the possessed out of the Rogue Exiles, it would be way easier. Way easier.
I just have a hard time not doing possessed with Rogue Exiles, because there is a node on the tree that for rogues where it's like all rogues are possessed. And so I'm like, okay, well,
and you're increasing their quantity and stuff.
Right.
So
it sounds like a complete waste if I don't do it. But do you actually think so? I should try that, because Torment only has 2 clusters. Where do you get?
One problem with Torment
always
is it's
remaking
way at the bottom. The one Torment one really sucks because it's way down at the bottom, whereas everything else isn't down there.
That's Rogue.
Or is that the Rogue? Yeah, I did take all of them when I first did it. Where am I getting what? I have so many of Orb of Unmakings.
Wow, how? It's like, I feel like you have like an Orb of Unmaking tree in your backyard, and you just keep...
Well, on the Atlas passive, if you have, if you're getting the... Yeah, I can see you got like...
It's snowing floaties in my office. I know, the wind's blowing all the dust around, and it looks like snow. I mean, I take care of my office.
If you once you're playing like the end game stuff and you're doing the shrines, a lot of the shrines will drop like map quality drops, and Orb of Unmakings are that, like chisels, Orb of Unmakings. So I've never had a problem. Plus you can buy them for regrets, right? 2 regrets gets you 1. So
where is this that drops them all the time?
You know, the shrines that are either the
shrines, okay,
the Eldritch shrines or whatever. Quite often one of their buffs is increased map quality drops, and Orb of Unmaking is one of those apparently. So I don't ever have a problem with Orb of Unmakings. I think I've respec'd my tree twice so far this league. Right now I'm playing around with Grand Design, which is one of the big keystones that makes it so that all of your small ones do nothing. You don't get any benefit from any of the small passives on the Atlas tree. You still get the benefit of the keystones and the notables, but you don't get any bonus from any of the small ones. But then you get 1% increased pack size for each keystone or notable that you have. So I was trying that in race course to see, because I think right now I have like, if I roll 20% pack size, I think I've got like 59 or 60% pack size it turns into. So I'm getting an extra almost 40% pack size just from having enough keystones and notables on the tree. And you still get the benefit of the keystone or the notable. So that's what I've been just playing around with in the last little bit, but mostly just for fun. It's kind of weird. Like last league, I was like enthralled, like just sucked into the game. I was so into it. I was having such a good time.
Unless you played more before I started playing the game, I can't think of a league where you've ever played as long as you did last league.
Not for a long time. And I think it was also because the league before that, I had kind of petered out because of Elden Ring and some other games that had come out. So last league was my first time to really have a good time with how the end game was and all that kind of stuff. at this league, I'm having a good time, but I'm not feeling that like draw to come back. Like the Lake of Kalandra is not it at all. There's nothing in that mechanic that screams to me like I really want to get into the game and play it. So it's right now it's mostly just going like, well, how can I make the mapping experience more fun? What can I do to make it maybe a bit of a challenge? I'm not going to make any new characters. Like this will be it until we hopefully do a private league. But yeah, it's the Atlas passive for me is the best way to just experience something new.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean, it does suck when you're not excited about the league content, but this kind of does provide you an opportunity to play more different mechanics that maybe you haven't played for a few leagues and touch up on them again and see what you like. And because some of them even have a crazy amount of strategy associated to them, right? Like when you're talking about something like Syndicate or Harvest, or maybe not Harvest as much anymore, but you know, there's some that actually require, they're like a game on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I liked Heist. I played a lot of Heist this league, had a ton of fun with that. I've been doing a lot of Expedition. And Syndicate for me is very nice early to get the crafts. I actually would love to spend some time learning Syndicate and actually learning all of the different characters. Where do they best fit? Like, I know there's like cheat sheets of like, just put these ones here and that's what you're doing. But it would be fun to actually like learn a little bit more about the Syndicate side of it. The problem for me is there's not much else in the Atlas passive tree now that I would want to. I can't think of many things that I haven't tried or tested yet. So now it's more trying to find weird things like Grand Design, which what was the one I used last time? Was it Wandering Path or what? There's another one in there where you only take the small notables. You don't, the small passives. But so it's kind of just playing around with that and trying to find some new ways to play with the Atlas. Because for me, the Atlas passive tree is really fun because it's very easy to respec, but it's also not overly confusing. Like when you're building your tree for your character, it can feel a little bit confusing as you're trying to like figure it out or where do I need to go. You can't wreck the Atlas passive tree. You know what I mean? Like you can change it at any point as long as you got the currency to do it. And it's not affecting my build. It's just affecting how does the map operate. Yeah. And I quite enjoy that. So yeah, that was most of my playtime this week was testing and playing around with the new ways of doing the Atlas passive. And I know I'm probably not optimizing anything, but I have no reason to optimize. There's nothing that I don't need currency. I've got lots of currency. I'm not trying to even improve gear really right now, unless I ever wanted to get more into doing bosses, but I don't. Yeah. It's just after last league, just going so hard into it and really doing all the stuff I wanted to. There was no new thing this league that was like, yes, that's what I want to try and do this league. So it's been fun.
Well, I'm glad you tried the Rogues and Torment. I appreciate you doing that.
We talked about that, I think, in After Dark, and I think that's what triggered me to want to try it out because I've never done it before, and you've talked about it forever, and I was like, I wonder what that's like, and it was brutal.
It's death. It's like going to a restaurant and be like, excuse me, I'll order death.
Yeah, it was fun. The only thing that sucks is you're waiting for that 8% to kick in or whatever it is to get the 20 Rogue Exiles. So, but then when you get hit with it, you're like, oh my God. This is bananas. So I think I actually still have a couple of the Rogue and Torment ones turned on because they're in the path that I'm using towards Grand Design anyway, especially the one that's like your chance to get 20 and they're possessed and they have quantity, like 30% increased quantity for possessed or something. So I do have still a few of them that are still ticked. I'm just not traveling all over the tree to get the other ones.
Yeah.
How about you?
It was frustrating. Like, yeah, I played, and I actually played a lot more than I had in the recent weeks, and some offline, some online, and I really wanted to like it. Like, I'm really excited for these changes. I really love how GGG is just very persistent on, obviously, continually trying to improve their game. They're emotionally invested, too. Like, I saw some of Bex's Reddit replies this week, and some of them were just like, you know, we're really trying hard. She's kind of disheartened by people. What was she saying? We don't mean to, but people are using the term the vision, right? The vision that PoE has, GGG has for their game. And, you know, I saw a comment from her where it said, it's discouraging to see people using the term the vision to point out all the negative things that they see in the game when the vision has also made a lot of very good improvements as well. And that was a good thing to read for me too, because I've also been quite discouraged with a lot of the changes, how things were released, especially as a minion player. I mean, you know, I'm running through maps, and this is after the 0.1 patch that came out. I think I played for about 3 hours yesterday on console, and there's still so much that my minions can't take. There were 4 separate circumstances where I came back to my hideout or the delve base, and like I had no army with me. 3 specters were dead, and they have minion life on them too. My golem was dead, and my 10 zombies were dead. And sometimes I'm coming back to my hideout and I have 7 zombies instead of 10, and I'd really like to know what is dangerous to them because I don't see it. And so that's discouraging to me because I have them set up as tanky as they can be or as included, with the exception of having minion life on my zombies. But I can't have minion life on my zombies. Otherwise, they will do no damage. I'm already, with the changes that they've made, scraping through trying to get this damage high enough that it's legit. And so I can't sacrifice a damage node to have maximum life in there, especially if you're not on a 6 link. If you're trying to map through on a 5 link and you have minion life on your zombies, you can't do anything. So I'm really trying to make it work, and I mean, the build itself, 90% of the time is totally fine. There's just every now and then there's an arch nemesis modifier that you don't know what it does, and it melts your team, but you don't know what the fix is because you have no idea what modifier it was or what that modifier does. Like, for example, I have no way of protecting my minions from corrupted blood. They get it, and I have nothing. Because for some reason in this game, they decided that corrupted blood is not bleeding. Even though there's that, what is it? Crimson Dance keystone. That is like, that's the segue in the game that says, yes, corrupted blood is bleeding. But then when they came out with their flask changes, flasks are not, like, they had to add it so that getting rid of bleeding and getting rid of corrupted blood were 2 separate lines because they're technically 2 separate things, but the same flask does it. But there's nothing for minions. Like, remember how big of a relief it was when they added masteries? Because it actually gave people a legitimate way of fighting corrupted blood. Do you remember what life was like before that? You had to have a jewel that had corrupted blood on it or an amulet. That was it. And for like 3-4 leagues, basically since Cyrus came in, and then they added, I think it was since Cyrus they added that
you had to have it on a jewel, really.
You had to. That was the only way, and it was ridiculous. And as long as Cyrus lasted, but then they came out with the mastery system, and that right away gave you, within a mastery that's close to everybody, you could get rid of corrupted blood cannot be inflicted upon you. But I have that same problem with minions now. Sure, there might be a unique out there. Sure, there might be.
Blood actually kill them?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Well, because it's strong, it depends on the hit, right? So it depends on the other modifiers that are there. Sometimes we have corrupted blood. Right, my passe, we have corrupted blood on us, and it's no problem. But sometimes we have half the amount of corrupted blood on us, and I'm like, my health flasks aren't enough, and my zombies, like, their energy shield drains down, and I see them all at half health by the time it goes away, and then a mediocre hit takes the rest. So there's some stuff that I'm just not capable of combating. But one thing that I did not notice until All Gray Everything from our Discord mentioned this, and so I appreciate you mentioning this, All Gray Everything. One nice thing about this new league mechanic when I've been playing on PC, well, for me, this isn't part of their quote. Sorry, I'll say their quote first. It's nice that the league mechanic isn't every map. I like that. Remember how there's been a lot of other, like, you go into and you make your choices. You stop at the one shrine, but you're not having to leave your map or your instance every single map. Like, this Kalandra map is once every 10 maps.
Well, and also to add to that, the fact that they made them itemized once you do complete it. So it's not like, oh, I have to run it now. Yep,
and I do think really with a lot of the criticisms that are out there, maybe this is something that different pockets of the community are talking about, but I appreciate All Gray Everything saying this, because that is one really nice thing that has come across. It takes almost no time in your mapping experience to deal with, and then you can do it when you feel like it. And I love that. So
it's very Delvey, like where you could collect the stuff and then go do it when you want.
Yeah, that kind of is,
which is nice.
Kind of, and I guess that would be the same thing with Heist. Get what you want, do it when you want.
Yep.
So, yeah, but man, so I'm trying to get these last 2 or 3 T16s that I don't have to get the full Atlas completion for myself and standard on console. But because of the Rogue Torment bit, I can't do it because I'm valing maps, right? I don't normally val maps.
Yeah, you got to get completion though.
I do. And so I'm doing this, but I already have my Atlas tree set up, but I only have maybe 30 orbs of unmaking because I really haven't played console very much in the last 3 leagues. And that was when they started buffing. I think it was last league when they changed the drop rate of orbs of unmaking to be a lot more common. I think the same as orbs of regret
right?
From Keurig. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really don't have an insane amount of currency on standard because I use it. Like I'm going through, I'm testing stuff, I'm figuring things out, and I like to do that. That's what they're for. But I don't have an endless supply, and I am only playing, like, you know, like 8 hours a week, 9 hours a week type of thing. So I know people are like, "Oh, standard, you have thousands," but you know, I'm not making thousands in league and then converting it to standard. That's not how I play. So yeah, it's completion's been quite difficult. After talking with you, though, that was a very edifying conversation, getting your opinion on it, and I'm glad you did play it. So we'll see how that goes. I love Rogue Exiles. I have such a hard time not doing it, and I have such a hard time not doing Torment because they're tied together. And the amount of quantity that's in that is absurd. So, but I've been having a fun time, having a terrible time coming up with a new Atlas tree. Like, to me, that's normally very easy because there's just some things I love and that's it. But because I'm thinking of speccing out of that, now I'm having a wonderful time being completely tormented as to what to do next. Because everything
Grand
else,
Design sometime. Look at Grand Design sometime and then just consider the tree, because increasing pack size is really fun.
It is.
Making the packs you come across much bigger is actually quite a bit of fun, but it would be a terrible decision to do while you're still trying to grind out the Atlas. Like, I've got the full Atlas completion, so it doesn't matter. But to lose all of those like percentages for connected map and tier higher or whatever, all those little ones now count for nothing. So it wouldn't be a good idea early on, but it is quite a bit of fun just to have much bigger pack sizes.
That's cool.
So I don't know, actually, because it also depends, I guess, on what you're playing. Like, if you're playing something like, man, what would be really fun is to have played it on my Bladefall Blade Blast with Profane Bloom, because then having big pack sizes like actually exploding would be a lot of fun. But
that would be. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is one version of the build that I'm trying, but I really want to get my PC character. I'm only in white maps, but I really want to see if this character can handle the end game content. Like, they're really juiced up curses with Despair and Enfeeble and Temporal Chains. And on paper, it doesn't look like a great build, but there's so much that happens with this build that isn't on paper. For example, Profane Bloom. For example, slowing enemies. For, you know, they're being enfeebled, and it's you know, the damage seems lower, but it's a whole good portion of its chaos damage. So, you know, it makes up.
Why are you not playing that one?
Well, it's on PC, and I wanted to see what my Atlas tree choices were like, which I needed to do on standard. And I'm finding maps really, I'm having a hard time getting maps that are a higher tier because I'm just starting the Atlas passive tree, and it's a slower process, and I'm not finding that I'm getting the maps that I need. So I'm spending, you know, a whole bunch of Alks and Chance Orbs with Keurig to get the occasional map that he has that I don't have. But it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I've come across a lot of frustrating circumstances as a minion player going into Delve. I did it before 0.1. I did it after 0.1. And there's just so much more that still needs to be looked at. I was frustrated a lot more than I wanted to be to have a really fun experience. For example, like Harbinger in Delve lasts so long, and there's so many rares. And I'm fighting and I'm fighting and I'm fighting, and it's taken a while, and that's fine, that's great. But there's so many enemies, I have to be phasing all the time or I cannot move. And to me, that's not, like, I already have a phasing class. Like, that's not something that I've omitted from my build, and now it's a consequence that I'm not including it. And I am getting it refilled relatively quickly. I'm almost not without it, but it's insane how my minions can't phase, so they can't move until something's dead. But there's something that I need them to kill that's on the other side of the screen. So I'm using Signal Prey, but I can't see that they can't reach them. Signal Prey
should make them phase.
It should.
Signal Prey should make them phase.
Because here's the thing. When I hit Signal Prey, my zombies stop attacking, and their only goal is to get to that.
To get that one.
Right. So if they're surrounded by people and they can't hit,
will they not attack to try to get to it?
They don't.
Oh, wow.
And they're just like walking, trying to get to that. But I can't see. The screen is so busy that I can't see if 1 out of my 10 zombies is busy or is like blocked by something, or 7 of them. And so maybe signal prey is killing them because they're not leeching anymore. Phase. I agree. I think that would be fantastic. Not dash, just phase. But anyway, so my minions have nowhere to go. And all of a sudden there's like 6 rares on this screen. And I know the answer is kill them faster, but it's a zombie build.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm eking out I have every damage node on the tree for minions, every single one. And I'm not using minion life in my zombie thing. Like
Have you done Harbinger yet in Lake of Kalandra? Like in one of the lake tiles?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't done like a Kalandra in forever.
I don't know if it's changed, but I remember early on doing them and it was the same. Like you're in this tiny little area where you can't really figure out where you can actually move. And if you get 3 or 4 in one boss, the screen is just insane. Like I had to do them in parts. So I don't know, maybe that's been fixed, but
yeah. So I really tried to have a good time. I put in a lot of time. There were some fun times this time, but overall, I think I ended up being a whiner. I think Soja called me out for being a grumpy old man when I was playing on one of the sessions. And so, but I am really trying to have fun. Like I'm not discouraged from playing, but I don't know. It doesn't feel balanced. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I should be scared of tormented rogues, not desperately running for my life because I cannot kill them at all. But some I can, but I mean, I don't know how many different rogue exiles there are, but there's just some that I had zero chance against. And I don't know, there's like some of the arch nemesis mods are still completely mutilating my minions after the 0.1 patch. So I'm trying, and I'll be playing lots this coming week. And yeah, we have a really interesting couple weeks coming up for us personally. So we'll
gonna be fun.
Yeah, we have some good episodes coming up. So anyway, I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer. I am enjoying it, but I'm at the stage where I'm trying to enjoy it. So hopefully I'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'm in the same way. Not every league is going to be like some amazing, incredible league, just the way that the game is.
Yeah.
So yeah. Awesome. We good?
Yeah, I'll save this next one for next week.
Sweet. All right, episode 153, Forever Exiled. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying Lake of Kalandra, and we'll see you... well, hold on, let me do my thing. Forever Exiled, Path of Exile podcast, episode 153. Thanks for joining us. I'm Justin, a.k.a. Tags.
Tyler Ecker of Days.
Patrons, we will catch you in After Dark later on, and everybody else, we'll see you next week in episode 154. If you look for more information, you can find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a Discord, which you should be a part of if you're not, and Patreon and other ways to support the podcast. You'll find them down below and on our website. Bye.
Bye. Did I sound just like you? That was the goal.